Hello, hello. Okay, it's been about a few days since I last recorded because I've been so stuck on the aesthetic of this game. Originally, I wanted to keep it super black and white, like the bricks back here, but then I also wanted to have torn wallpaper and pillars and wooden beams. In fact, I have a really cool pillar. This is just a window curtain concept I'm playing with. Disregard that. But you can see a bunch of pillars that I've made. In an earlier version, I made what I was called my favorite column. I loved this column so much. I just love the way it's layered and textured, and it's just gorgeous. I wish I could show you. Let me see if I can do this. Doesn't look like much, but I just love it. Okay, but I'm jumping ahead too much. Let me go back a little bit. Okay, where was I? Originally, I wanted to keep it super, super high contrast, such as black and white. And the more I was doing that, I realized that would be an issue for my very flat character. So I decided to put some more gray tones in the background. I was having like 6 to 8 different layers of gray back there. I was like, that's too complicated as well. So I started pulling up some Nintendo reference. For Nintendo sprites, you only have 4 colors. I think it's 4. I'll correct myself on the screen if it's not, but you have 4 colors and one of them has to be transparent, which means you only get 3 colors to choose between. I love that limitation of 3 to 4 colors. So I decided to get rid of all my values of gray that I was adding and just keep to 4 and try to repurpose it to the entire background the best I can. This is what we have. So we have these pillars. We have a nice old Victorian kind of style background wallpaper. You can see me kind of tearing it to expose the brick behind it. It's a lot of work to get here. Some of my design choices were based on low contrast, detailed backgrounds to separate themselves from the high contrast, flat foreground. Now, granted, we're not going to be this flat, but I'm hoping we'll be much flatter in the foreground. And also for the bricks, I like the flat texture, but I'm considering adding more value differences in the brick. What I was also considering doing is changing the way I'm doing the bricks, which takes me on another rant about my adventure doing this business. You probably saw me doing it in a very counterintuitive way where I was drawing out each tile as it needed to be. So for instance, I would draw out the tear in the paper, I would fill in the bricks, and I would draw this texture. And then I had to match it on this side, and so forth and so forth and so forth. And it was a lot of work. But then I was like, why are you doing so much work? Just work in layers. So let me take you through what my current workflow is. And although I think it's funny looking back how slow and tedious I was doing things, it's also great because that's part of the learning experience. Probably wouldn't have it any other way because we're feeling how slow it was and wanting a faster way kind of just leveled me up a little bit. And I think this whole process just is me slowly leveling up my own skills, trying to find good, efficient, fulfilling ways of doing things. It's late and I'm tired and I'm talking like a crazy person, but bear with me. I'll show you my workflow. This is not a tutorial, obviously, but this is my workflow. So if I go to my room, I created a couple different layers. I was going to play with a master layer, but I had rendering issues with this. So I'm going to come back to this later. But if I turn off my layers, you can see what's going on. So here's Ghusty. You are, little bud. How you doing? I have my brick layer. I have the wallpaper layer. Really like that contrast to the black, nothing behind. I might use that to my advantage. Then you have the beams and windows layer. Right now it's just beams. And I would really recommend looking up how to use tile sets for GameMaker Studio 2. It's super, super easy. But you can see for a while, I was trying to work with just one beam. But I didn't like how the width of that beam was the same width as Ghusty. So I made the beam a little bit larger. So these are the beams that I've been drawing with. Eventually, I'll have variations. Like I was getting some really cool variations on these beams. You have like segments like that. I was doing some like cracked textures, some top segments, just having fun with it. That's it, right? And it made everything so much easier because I was dealing with like the torn wallpaper. I was just losing my mind trying to draw all these different versions. I'm like, why am I doing that? Just do an alpha. But I really like the way I handled the wallpaper. I thought I was just the most cleverest boy in school. But what I did is I have my wallpaper. You can see it's not tiled correctly, and I can fix that later. So if I turn on my grid, you can see this is my master tile, and I just copied and pasted all the way over. What I really want to do is paint bucket my tile in, but I don't know how to do that. So instead I would copy this and I would paste it, and I would do that a bunch of times. And you can see while I was doing that, I made some issues, and that's fine. I can fix those issues later. I'm not too worried about it. And then to draw the holes in my wallpaper, I have a generic hole that I am not using right now. And over here, I have all my tears. And the way I decided to do my tears is I have a white layer and I right click on it and I edit the layer properties and I set it to multiply. So because everything is white, let me draw with just white. Big brush, that's a white brush, right? If I draw with like this, see, because it's set to multiply, it'll reveal the wallpaper underneath it. Likewise, if I go to my eraser, start erasing out holes, you know, I'm only impacting this white layer, but the wallpaper texture is staying the same. And this is very valuable to me because I didn't want to have to redraw all the math on this every single time I want to redesign the wallpaper texture, which has happened a lot. So this way I can just impact the mask layer without actually touching the pattern layer. As far as the pattern I chose, I was trying to do something that was looking super detailed, like the reference images I was seeing, without being too noisy. And the benefit with where I landed is, oh yeah, I didn't talk about stamps. I'll do that in a second. The benefit with where I landed is I feel it is very busy back there, but it's such low contrast that I think it's actually making Ghusty pop. And I like that. As far as stamps, because I wasn't going to draw the wallpaper 1,000 times, so I was trying to figure out how to navigate that. Because I could build all of this out, so I can grab the wallpaper layer, cool, and I can start using my little pieces, build a cool tear in the wallpaper. Look at that. We got a tear going on here. Maybe we do. Oh, you can see my wallpaper texture isn't lining up, but I'm just clicking around, trying to create a cool looking tear, thumbing my way through it, learning, growing, and getting stuff done. So I do that a bunch whenever I need one. I was also playing with like just a scattered version. It's just a scattered mess. I kind of like this. I think there's places for this. And I was trying to do one that was more splotchy and blotchy. And then I was doing one where it was just a big tear every so often, and then medium tears. I haven't really landed on how I want the wallpaper to be torn, but you can also create stamps so you don't have to redraw tears a bunch. And the way you would do that is you'd go to your tile set, you click your little brush builder flower icon, it takes you here. This area is really cool. It'll show your sprite on the left, and you'll have a big old empty canvas on your right. 1 billion pixels just for you. You zoom out far enough and you lose it, but there's a recenter button here. You can mirror. Wow, I use so many cool things. Wow, you can mirror. That's game changing. I don't have to build multiple different sizes. I can just build one. And in the brush tool, I can mirror it. Wow, that's cool. Where's my center button? There it is. Okay, so here is where you can build tiles. So because I'm dealing with transparency, I like having a wall to start with. And then now you just build your tear. So we'll just build a quick one. I think that's wide enough. You can mirror. That's so cool. Now I'm gonna use the checkerboard icon to erase the ones I don't need. I'm gonna keep it square like that for now. Okay, now if I erase these and I go back to my room builder, I'm in tiles by default, but I'm gonna move over to brushes, and you can see the brushes that we just made. Let's play with this one that we just built. You can see when I select it, it doesn't select all that stuff. So when I try to build it, it doesn't fill in those transparent areas because there's no data there. But it looks empty here. So if it's empty here, why isn't it empty here? Well, it's because there's no tiles there. There's no transparent tiles. It's just nothing. So the way to do that is you can click this guy, your transparent tile, have one designated, and you just click on those spots. Now, when you reselect it, it makes a liar out of you. Oh, because it's selected in this room. Sorry, deselect it first. Okay. There we go. All right, let me just draw that in, make them transparent. Now, when I go to my room, I can select it. It selects the whole thing now. Yeah, and now I can actually draw that. So that's really handy. The fact that you can mirror this blows my mind, and let me show you why. I was drawing one side and mirroring them on this over here, but you can just mirror them here now. I really want to play with that. So let's just say I only have the one side. I'm just going to build with these guys, but now I want to build a piece over here. So I mirror it with X. Oh my gosh. When I select tiles, erase, I can fill. Man, I tell you what, you just learn something new every day. So cool. So when I'm building tile sets, if I feel comfortable building my own brushes, I can just hit X and mirror it. Man, oh man, does that not change some stuff for this guy? Great. Okay, cool. This is cool. We've learned something these past 15, 20 minutes together. What does this mean? This means I don't have to mirror anymore, which is fun. That's really fun. One other thing I was doing a lot that I liked, and I can't really show you, but I was having the room tearing up on another monitor, and I would draw it like the beam, right? And I would just zoom in on the beam, and while looking at this on the other monitor, I would go to my beams. I was drawing on the beams, and as I was drawing the beams, you can it'll update for you in the room. Look, they'll have a dot. No, they don't. That's a face. No, it doesn't. So you split these two into two different windows. I guess I could tear it off like that, but then I can't make this always on top, can I? No. All right, so that was a fun update, right? That was necessary. We're all on the same page now. We have wallpaper, we have torn wallpaper, we have beams, we have bricks, we got some elements that can show us the background. Now I need the background to move.